last time a major interstate was enacted in Missouri was in 1988, I-64 in the St. Louis area. It was extended last year in 2011. The last major interstate in southwest Missouri was I-44, built in the 1950s and 60s. So getting to dedicate 180 miles of Interstate 49 is a big deal to us and a great way to celebrate and great reasons. You know, we hope that in 20, 30, 40 years from now, the folks in Joplin and Neosho, Pineville and Lamar, Nevada, Butler, Harrisonville, Grandview and Kansas City all look back on I-49 and they say, gosh, it's been just a great transportation system, just like I-44 has become.
As Becky mentioned, it's really about bringing together all levels of government in true partnership along with the private sector and the community to make big things happen. Things in today's world cannot happen if we don't work together. And so I simply want to say to all of you, Kevin Keith, Senator Blunt, and the mayor, you're here, you know, just continuing to work together in the future. That's a commitment that I make to all of you. We will continue with Kevin Ward and everybody else to continue throughout the entire state to work with you in partnership, because that to me is very, very important. And really, it's the only way that we're going to be able to move forward and get big things done for your great state. It's not every day that we actually open up a new section of an interstate. It happens very infrequently. And when we do this, it really, for the community, for your state, it's going to be, it means a lot, not only from an economic standpoint, but I think all of us know that when you have upgraded your infrastructure to interstate standards, the level of safety increases dramatically. So whether you're traveling through here on business or pleasure, just as regular citizens, the interstate system is in fact going to be much safer for all of you. But we also have to keep in mind, you know, it is a national issue that we're facing here. We're talking about being able to connect your state through one more channel to the entire United States of America, and being able, from an economic development standpoint, to talk to businesses when you try and attract them to your region, to your city, to your state. And one of the first things that they're going to ask you is, do you have access to the interstate system? And now you're going to be able to say, of course we do. And by the way, once you have access to that interstate system, you have access to the entire United States and really to the world. We're recovering. We know the economy is coming back, but we need more people to get back to work. That's our #1 focus, to get people back to work. And through these types of investments, that's what we're able to do. We're able to create jobs. We put the private sector back into play, rebuilding our roads and bridges, and bringing workers in the construction sector that's been really devastated back to work. And that is one of our key components from Washington, D.C., is trying to find a way to get people back to work.
To be here today and get to open some of it is, well, it's just special. That's all I can tell you. But I didn't do this. No one person can claim to do this. But one of the things I get to do today that's a treat for me is recognize 4 people from MoDOT who kind of represents the generations who've worked on this. And there are 4 of our district engineers who really for the last 40 years, as directors have changed and people have changed, they have been here every day working to get 71 I-49. And they go back a ways. Some of you will remember these names. Joe Mickus. Remember Joe Mickus? Joe actually left this area as district engineer and eventually became director of MoDOT. But Joe was the district engineer here from 1976 to 1986. And you know, he was responsible for part of the work we're getting done today, and kind of where he was at was to getting 71 around Joplin and to work to the north. But worked on this for a decade. And quite frankly, since he started, when he went to Jeff City and director, he never forgot and kept pushing to get this done. After Joe was Ken Stulkup. Ken? Ken's here with us today. And it's interesting, almost 3 of these folks, almost all of them were here for about a decade each. But Ken was here from 86 to 94, And it says work through a series of challenging public meetings, and I bet that's right with what you had to get done. But Ken really led this from Joplin south down through Neosho. And not only public meetings, but environmental concerns, pretty sensitive area down there, but he got that done. And after Ken was Richard Walter. Stand up, Richard. Again, Richard here about a decade, from 1994 to 2005. And Richard took the project from south of Neosho and down through McDonald County and really got the existing road done all the way down to the Arkansas line. And we just got one little piece left, don't we? It's that Bella Vista bypass. And after Richard, which this is where I'm deviating the script because she's embarrassed because she didn't know I was going to do this, is Becky Baltz. So, and Becky hadn't quite been here a decade yet, just 7 or 8 years, but she will before it's done. But she has continued to work to get this done to where we're at today to be able to open I-49.
And I do remember, Kevin, I think maybe the first meeting we had in the district was at the Rural Electric Co-op building at Anderson. And at that meeting, now then this is about, Kevin had just not been the engineer for very long, but a lot of people had sort of given up. Everybody but Mel Walbridge. I'll come back to that later. He may have given up, but he never quit talking. So, Kevin said, we're going to do this, and we're going to do it quicker than you think it's going to get done. And everybody sort of pressed for what that really meant, and he was more and more reassuring. And then Rudy and I met with him in his office one day not too long after that, and he was more confident this was going to be done. And Kevin, I'm glad it got done, and I'm glad it got done on your watch. It's a great moment for our state. It's a great moment for the whole western side of the state and for those states that are close to us. And the work that these engineers have done, the three that I've had a chance to work with, Joe Mickus, of course, as the head of MoDOT, had been the engineer here. He knew this needed to happen. This has been something that people had talked about now for about 50 years. I think 1970, Ken, we began to talk about the designation, how it fit into the interstate map and what it would be. And almost, that was 45 years ago, began to talk about that, began to talk about how to get it done. We went through a challenging period in the early 90s when, for whatever reason, in this fast-growing part of the state, where I think most of the pressure continued to be in this region, this engineers district for I-49, there was nobody on the Highway Commission from Southwest Missouri, from the 7th District. So a lot of what happened there for a few years just happened because we directed some spending. The Congress did and said, you need to build this overpass, and you need to build this 4-lane highway on either side of it, and hopefully you'll eventually connect that all up with something else. And we did about $60 million worth of that kind of spending that kept this going. And then Jim Anderson from Springfield went on the commission, and Rudy Farber went on the commission, and now with Steve Miller there from the other end of I-49, and Joe Carmichael really both have an interest in this as they see this project completed. In 1997, the one thing we wanted to be sure that got done in that highway bill was to see I-49 still listed as the high priority corridor for the country, so that we had a document to refer to every time we were trying to get funding. And so wait a minute, the Congress of the United States decided this was a national priority, and today, as they're out there taking the cover off the signs, the national priority becomes a national reality. Thank you all.
We on the commission have a vision, as does the department, for what Missouri can be as far as transportation is concerned. As many of you know, the Panama Canal is going to open in 14. When that happens, it opens up a whole new world of transportation for goods and services. Missouri can be the transportation hub of this nation if we're willing to make the investment to do so. If we have the willingness to step forward, we can create jobs in this state that will be lasting. I would call upon you to help us in a dialogue to decide to make that commitment, because it is an investment that will pay off. In closing, I certainly want to say thank you to everyone who's had a part in this. It has been a great pleasure on my part to serve, and I'm so proud of the department for what they have done. Thank you all.
But it's now that we're having the big moment we've all been waiting for, the unveiling. So if the speakers would please take your positions.
Introducing Interstate 49. Unveil the sign.
49, unveil the sign.